I'm sure there's a whole bunch of footage of me needlessly acting when they were like, what's he doing? We're going back to base.
Just getting ready for the role.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Doig-Thorne, and today I'm here with Rebecca Ferguson, Henry Cavill, Simon Pegg, Vanessa Kirby, star of Mission Impossible Fallout. You played the mysterious CIA agent August Walker. Can you tell me a bit more about the dynamic between Walker and Ethan Hunt?
They do not like each other, not one bit. August has been forced upon Ethan and his team. August's methodology is very contrary to Ethan's. Ethan's more about saving lives. August is more about completing a mission, and it doesn't matter how many people die in the process.
Tell me a little bit more about the dynamic between Ilsa and Ethan.
They are equal. I mean, it's very hard for me to say that I play a character that's equal to Ethan Hunt, but I'm trying to create a character that keeps him on his toes all the time. Ethan's character has to question the good and evil. How does he know that what he does is for the greater good? And the same goes for my character. And when they meet, this kind of a clash and chemistry happens, where they know they're very good together, but their techniques might differ.
And Ethan has certainly met his match in Ilsa. That is one thing everyone's going to take away from this film. Can you tell us a little bit more about Benji's dynamic with the team?
Yeah, well, Benji's been an agent for a few years now, so he's been out in the field a little bit, but you know, every time a new mission arrives, he learns a bit more and his skill set increases. By this one, he's a bit more accomplished, but he's still the same guy. You know, he's still the guy that was the first person to draw Ethan's attention to the fact that, you know, he might die if he's not careful, which is very much like my relationship with Tom.
You play Alana, aka the White Widow. Tell me a little bit about the dynamic between your character and Ethan Hunt.
Ethan comes to Paris and he happens to be making a deal with my character. She sort of draws him in, really, and is in a sense somebody that I know Chris wanted to put him on the back foot for the first time. You don't often see Ethan off guard, and so we wanted to make it kind of unsettling and disarming in an obvious way, not by using strength or force, but by almost using the opposite.
Fallout is the most action-packed Mission Impossible yet, by far. Which is your favourite stunt and why?
There's the helicopter sequence. That is absolutely incredible. What Tom achieves in that is amazing. And the scenery there was stunning in New Zealand. We were flying helicopters above the Southern Alps in New Zealand and through the Southern Alps. Incredible. And it was absolutely amazing. I loved it.
I guess it would have to be the helicopter finale. It's also intercut with a very intimate sort of fight sequence, which is really interpersonal and intense. And the combination of those two things, it really, really does get the heart pumping. Seeing Tom fly in that helicopter like he did, it kind of boggles the mind that he was A, allowed to do it, and B, is still here.
It was incredible reading the amount of training that he did to become an expert pilot. Most actors would just allow a stunt double to do it.
But that's kind of not what he's about, and I think that's what singles him out from everybody else. He will go that extra length.
The bathroom scene for me is one of my favourite fighting sequences in any of the Mission films.
So much going on.
There's
you think it's going to stop and someone else comes in.
I know, and it's raw. It also has a little bit of a part in that as well, which is quite cool.
I love the comedic bit at the end. I just thought it was fantastic.
There's a lot of comedy in this one.
I was surprised how much. It was
Ethan
amazing.
is bloody funny.
He's got some great one-liners.
I know.
One of my favourite moments from the film was actually when Tom was about to jump out of a building and Benji had the map in 2D instead of 3D.
Yeah, Chris had that idea of just looking at something on an iPad and not realising that the route you've got to take is actually like up and down rather than just straight.
To be fair, I think I'd definitely make that mistake as well.
Yeah.
So how did you find acting through the danger of these crazy stunts?
Sometimes difficult, especially in the helicopters. I had no earpiece, I couldn't hear anything. The doors are open, so it's very, very loud in there as well, and the helicopters are loud anyway. I just had to kind of guess when action happened, and when we were going, I suppose when we started going faster, I figured now it's action, so I'm going to start acting and see what happens. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of footage of me needlessly acting when they were like, what's he doing? We're going back to base.
Just getting ready for the role. How physically challenging was it keeping up with the IMF team? Did you have to go through a lot of physical training?
When I signed on to it, I knew that there would be physical challenges or requirements in some way, and because the script is being written as you go along and you don't know what stunts you're going to be doing or not, I just knew that if I had to run with Tom, I would never be able to keep up in the state I started. I learnt loads about that whole side of things that I never knew.
It was very physically challenging, actually. When I look back, I mean, it's easy to look back at the movie and think, oh, you know, it's totally fine, but actually we were all sore every day and we all had very minor injuries constantly. It's just something which became such a norm that you forget about it.
Why do you think people are so invested in the Mission Impossible franchise?
What Tom has done with Ethan Hunt and the franchise in general is, despite all these superhuman feats that he achieves to complete these missions and the edge-of-the-seat drama, he makes Ethan an everyman as well as somewhat superhero-like. And that is a very difficult thing to do. When Ethan is going through stuff, he looks scared, and he looks like he's having a really hard time most of the time, which makes all of us as viewers believe and relate with Ethan Hunt a lot more.
One of the things that I loved from Fallout is how it focuses on several really strong female characters. It also was the first lead female in the franchise. How do you feel about other action films bringing in more female characters?
I think what Chris did here was brilliant. He literally introduced new characters that have a reason to be in the film. He didn't just add screen time for women. He created a story where you take out the characters and there will be a hole in the script.
It is a nice change.
It is a lovely change. I think we could add boob time as much as we want, but it's not, is it? I mean, here we sit with real characters, with real dilemmas, and they are emotional and they're vulnerable. It creates such a dynamic on screen as well, and very unpredictable.
I think it's really, really important because that genre is typically a very male-dominated genre and a male protagonist genre with the women sort of supporting their journey. And so I think it's our responsibility to try and push against that and change it and, you know, take parts or look for parts that subvert that status quo.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
What the hell is he doing?
I find it best not to look.